In case you missed it, I was just saying all the A students sit here in the front. We're in for, I think, an informative and fun evening. We in journalism have lost our way, he said. Journalism is now a way to make more money. It's all about the bottom line. My own personal thought is this: the greatest threat to our country is not terrorism. I believe it to be greed. That is what will eat us alive. Those are the comments of tonight's speaker at a recent event. Never mincing words and always telling it like it is. That's what makes him unique. He has the courage to ask the difficult questions. It's no surprise that Tim Skubick is a different breed of journalist. His 42 years as a political reporter are a testament to that. His off-the-record weekly show, which he hosts and produces, is the longest-running Michigan political affairs and analysis program on television and is viewed by over 100,000 people each week. In addition, he reports for the Michigan Radio Network, WWJ Radio in Detroit, multiple television stations, and writes a political column for newspapers across the state, including our own Grand Rapids Press. Tim's work has been recognized and awarded with 4 Emmy Awards, numerous awards from the Michigan Association of Broadcasters, and the prestigious Silver Circle Award for Lifetime Achievement from the Michigan chapter of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. And in 2008, Tim was inducted into the Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame for his work in keeping a watchful eye over policymakers in Lansing.
Enough.
And explaining the process to readers, listeners, and viewers so that it is understandable and accessible. All these accomplishments from a native of Macomb County whose broadcast career started, I don't know if you want me to mention this, in 1963 at a tiny 50-watt student-run station at Michigan State University, his alma mater. Let me tell you before I welcome him formally, because you sat in the back does not mean you can hide from this man. Please join me in welcoming Tim Skubick. Tim.
Mr. President, thank you. That was very kind of you. That was just about 2 minutes too long, all right? Nobody cares about anybody's resume. All right, so you're sitting back here, so I'm going to come to you, all right? I promised to get you out of here so we can go watch the baseball game, all right? So I'm going to lower the anxiety level here, okay? I've been doing these town halls around the state. You are my 17th that I have done in the month of October. I believe I'm still married. I'm not sure. I will check out at the end of October. I started in a little town called Escanaba. Where's Escanaba? Do you know? You're obviously not a geography major, okay? It's in the Upper Peninsula. And I scheduled that very early for obvious reasons because we know what happens in the UP. It snows, and it's tough to get into. So I've learned a lot, and I want to talk to you a little bit, obviously, tonight about the election. And I want you to do something for me. I do not want you to tell me for whom you are going to vote. But if you've already made up your mind on whom you support for president, would you please stand and then look around the room? If you made up your mind, please stand. You folks can basically go home because what I'm about to say will have no impact on you at all, okay? All right, you may sit down. People that have not decided, would you please stand? The undecided people. Stand up and be proud, okay? All right, I have one question. Where have you guys been the last 6 months, okay? Okay, Danelle, don't sit down. Tell me why you're undecided.
I don't know.
I don't know, all right. Let's see if we can put a little flesh on that answer. Have you been watching the race?
No.
Absolutely. Do you know who's running?
No.
Give me just one of the people who's running. I'll give you a hint. His name is Romney.
Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney. Very good. Okay, excellent. You're undecided. Nick, stand up for me, man. All right. What sports do you play, Nick? Basketball. I couldn't have told that. All right. How come you're undecided, man?
I don't know. I haven't really done my research yet.
This is going to happen on November 6th, sweetheart. You with me here?
Yeah, I'm kind of a procrastinator.
Kind of. Okay, have you been following the race?
I caught a little of the last, what do you call it? Debate.
Were you sober at the time?
Sort of. Yeah.
Sort of, okay. Did any of it resonate with you?
No.
Not at all. Okay, sit down for me, Nick. This is an interesting thing. The undecided voters. The undecided voters. You would think that the undecided voter waiting until the last minute is the sophisticated voter. sifting all of the data to put together all the information possible so that you make the best possible choice on election day. Well, guess what? It's not true. Nick watched one debate. He was sort of sober. She couldn't name any of the candidates running. And you know what? Here's the profile of the undecided voter. You want me to tell you who they are? You're not going to like this. They're not us. First of all, they don't like sports. They don't watch TV. They don't go to the internet. They don't text. Anybody text yet while we've been in here? Everybody's been able to stay away from their texting for at least 5 minutes. Okay, appreciate that. They are basically female with a high school education or less. They don't own a home. They don't own a gun. And they are basically detached. David Letterman, the other night on TV, said they were, quote, idiots. Now, I think that's a little strong. Why don't we just go with semi-idiots, okay? Because here's the problem. 20%, guys, of the undecided voters aren't even going to vote. They're not following this at all. There is a segment of our society that basically has checked out on politics. And this is an interesting phenomenon. It really is. As I travel around the state talking to audiences, I basically find everywhere that most people have made up their minds. Many even before the first debate. How many saw the first debate? Raise your hand. All right, that's pretty good. Excellent. What did you get out of it?
Oh, gosh.
I know it was so long ago. Right, exactly. We've had two others in between. Yeah, go ahead.
It definitely gave me a clearer picture of the personalities and what they were, what they stood for.
Exactly, but notice the word that she used first was the P word, personalities. She said that before issues, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Because why?
Kind of hard to miss in this particular election.
No, here's why. I'll tell you what you were thinking, huh? Journalists get to do this. We get to tell you what you're thinking. Isn't that an amazing thing? It's an astounding talent that I've developed over the years. Because you're thinking that personalities and how you relate to the candidate are pretty important, aren't they?
Well, their issues and what they're going to fight for in the office is actually.
She's covering up now, okay? She's trying to sound intellectual, okay? Yes, okay, but here's the most important, I know, I apologize. I do this for a living, I apologize. Here's the most important question in this campaign. It's not your position on the issues. Where do you stand? Who do you want to have a beer with? Who do you want to have a beer with? Between the two guys running, who would you sit down and have some suds with? Let's ask, is this your spouse? Who would you like to have a beer with?
I guess I would say Romney.
I guess you would say Romney. Apparently you have no life. Okay, Romney, well, here's your problem. You couldn't have a beer with him. He doesn't drink. Yeah. Oh, to see if you could get him to drink? Trust me, it's not going to happen, okay? The popular answer would be Mr. Obama. More down to earth. Mr. Romney appears to be a little stiff, okay, has a little trouble connecting with the audience. This is one of his biggest problems. And wouldn't it be unfortunate if we decided our presidential election based on whom we liked the best? And this is where television comes in. And I'm going to bite the hand that's feeding me. Television news is the worst thing that ever happened to politics. Can I get an amen? Yeah. You know why? Because we have turned our candidates into performers. How well did they do in the debates? How did they look? Did they look presidential? Did his hair stand up? Very little discussion of the issues. Very little. What do they stand for? We are sort of becoming an electorate that's getting lazy about our democracy, and we're basing a lot of our votes on how we feel about the candidate. And let me tell you, it's not indigenous to this campaign because it's been going on for a while. Let me take you back to the race with George W. Bush, then Texas governor, running against a guy named Al Gore. We got the same thing back then. Mr. Bush connected with audiences. Al Gore, remember the take on Al Gore? Stiff Al Gore. And they tried to reinvent him as a human being. What did they do? They put a sweater on him. Oh, that probably worked. No, Al was still stiff, but he looked nice. I had a nice sweater on. Tough to reinvent yourself. So I had a chance to interview Mr. Bush out at Kellogg Center at MSU. We did a 20-minute interview. He was engaging. He had a great sense of humor. He was unbelievably good. He actually answered some questions. I went home that night to my bride and I said, honey, I just interviewed the next president of the United States. And she said, how do you know that? I said, I'm Tim Skubick. Come on, give me a break here. That usually gets a laugh, folks. That's one of my best lines, okay? It's sort of a self-deprecating or defecating. I can't remember what those words are, okay? Anyway, I said, no, here's the reason why. I felt like I'd known this guy forever. We'd gone to school together. Great sense of humor. He said, y'all come down and see me in Texas. He connected with audiences. Al Gore did not. Mitt Romney is getting better. That first debate, if he ends up winning this thing, and I'm not sure who will win this, but if he ends up winning it, remember that first debate, because that turned the election around. Because it was a different Mitt Romney that showed up at that debate that had been on the campaign trail. In fact, the president must have been wondering to himself, who is this guy over here? Because he was assertive, and you got to feel a little more comfortable with him. Is that a fair statement? Did you get a different side of him?
Definitely got a different side of him.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And so he's working on that, and they know that this is a problem because they know voters like to feel comfortable with the person that they're voting for. But this will be a predominant theme. Now, that's one of Mr. Romney's problems. Here's Mr. Obama's problem. His problem is he's been president for 4 years, which is completely different from what he was when he ran 4 years ago as candidate Barack Obama. If you can remember back that far, this election 4 years ago was like a cult election, wasn't it? The young people in particular gravitated to this guy. If you covered him on college campuses, it was unbelievable, the energy and the passion in the room. And the young people actually got involved in the political process, and they helped to elect this guy. They did. So he's now president, and he's president for 2 years, and we go into the off-year elections. These are the elections where the president's not up, but the Congress is up. So the president, knowing the reception that he got from the young people the first time, goes back to the same college campuses. And he says to the kids, he pleads with the kids, guys, I need you to show up to vote. I need you to vote because those god-awful Republicans are going to take control of the Congress, and we don't want that to happen, so will you please vote? And you know what they did? They stiffed him. They didn't vote, they didn't show up, and they didn't care. Now the president's problem is he's got to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Can he get the young people motivated to find out what their names are, to get them involved in the process? And it's going to be a close call. He could lose this election because that segment of the population will check out on him in this election because it's not the same fervor. It's not quite the same fun that it was 4 years ago. But here's the sorry truth. We collectively are getting lazy about our democracy. We are not doing our homework. And here's what happens when God bless you. Here's what happens when the sensible center of the political spectrum checks out. You turn our precious democracy over to the fringes on both sides. Show me a Tea Party voter. I will show you a voter who is passionate about his or her politics. They know the names of the candidates. They know the issues, and they will show up and they will vote. Show me a liberal Democrat who's not smoking marijuana, and I will show you nobody grew up in the 70s apparently in this room, all right, okay? Show me a liberal Democrat, and I will also show you a person who knows the candidates, knows their names, knows what they stand for, and they vote. So on the right and the left, we've got great participation. We've got great passion. What about the rest of us? What about the rest of us? I've often said to myself, Skubick, you should have been a sports reporter. Why a sports writer? Because we are passionate about our sports, aren't we? Who won the baseball game last night, Andy?
Not the Tigers.
That's very good. That's not even close. In fact, I'm not even sure they showed up, all right? Who's the best pitcher that the Tigers have?
Alex Verlander. Justin, sorry.
Close, go ahead. Verlander, right, okay. You knew the name, you just couldn't get it out. Okay, could you tell me who the Michigan Secretary of State is?
Nope.
Could you?
Nope.
Could you? No, I've already picked on you. Could you?
No.
Could you?
No.
How about you?
No.
You see my case? You see my point? We know who pitches for the Tigers, but by God, we're not quite sure who the Secretary of State is. This is an important person. Ruth Johnson could take your driver's license away. Huh? You wouldn't even know who she was. Anybody know who the Attorney General is? Who's the Attorney General of Michigan? Have any idea? Let's try a simple one. Who's the governor? Anybody? Starts with an S. Snyder, very good. Now, you must have known the governor, right, guys? I did this thing 2 nights ago, and I went up to a guy who's governor. He said, George Romney. Yeah. Actually, he was about as old as George, okay? For those of you that aren't laughing, George Romney was governor. He's also dead, okay? But here's the point I'm trying to make, and this is going to sound like I'm abusing you, and if I am, so be it. We're getting lazy about our democracy. You can't even name the candidates or the persons who are in these offices, but by God, we know about all this sports stuff. Well, the next time you got a problem with the government, call up Verlander and see if he can help you in Lansing. You get what I'm saying? So I'm on a mission, foolish as I am, to get people involved in politics, to get you involved, to get you thinking. And these ballot proposals are a perfect example. I'm going to embarrass you again. Let's start with a simple question. How many ballot proposals are there? 6? Do we agree that it's 6? All right, very good. That was the easy part. Tell me what they are. What's proposal number 1? Anybody? Everybody looks the other way. No eye contact. Thank you for your eye contact. Take guts to do that. You know that? Just for that, I'm not going to pick on you, all right? We got to wear the Bulls hat on here. Okay, let's pick with the Tigers guy. What's proposal 1?
Proposal 1 is, I just looked at this today too. I can't think of it though.
How about if I give you help? All right, emergency
manager.
Very good. Give him a round of applause. That's good. Excellent. You looked at it today. Where did you look?
I had a business review meeting at the company that I work for, and they gave us a West Michigan Chamber of Commerce outline of how they would like us to vote, I guess, a recommendation for us to vote.
In other words, they were lobbying you.
A little bit.
Well, they told you to vote what on 1? No.
They told me to vote yes.
They did tell you to vote yes. Okay, excellent. I'm impressed. Very good. You're out in the real world. Okay, this has actually happened. All right, number 1 is emergency manager. What's number 2? Collective bargaining. Good. Number 3. Louder. Energy. Very good. Number 4. Home health care. Good. You guys are not as silly as I thought you were. Come on, give me number 5. Taxes. Very good. Raising taxes. And number 6. Come on, you got to know this one. The bridge. Wow. And you just helped me. This is a teaching moment, boys and girls. This is a teaching moment of all the ballot proposals. The one you knew the most was number 6. You know why? Because of the most TV commercials. Right? Exactly. Matty Maroon, owner of the Ambassador Bridge, has helped to educate you with a slightly biased presentation of the issue. Okay? But that's the one you knew. Here's the problem. You can't, or you shouldn't, I'm going to sound like your parent now, you shouldn't be voting on any of these proposals based on any of the TV commercials, because you may find this hard to believe. Some of them are not true. They distort the reality. The bridge stuff is as distorted as could be. That's not a presentation of the data, which is my point. If you're going to participate in the democracy, you can't just watch the commercials on TV and decide how to vote based on that. All right, so you say, Skubick, where do we go? Get your pens out. There's a group called the Citizens Research Council. Go to their website. It is called crcmich.org. This is a nonpartisan, no axe to grind, semi-intellectual think tank. crcmich.org. They have an analysis on all 6 ballot proposals, pro and con. I go to this site all the time. They're very reliable. They have no agenda at all. They just call them as they see them. Please go there before you vote. Or, if you don't vote. If you're not going to do your homework, you shouldn't have the right to vote. You can't just show up and say, oh, God, I wish I'd looked at this before. Huh? No, that's not getting it done, because then you'll vote emotionally. Let me just also emphasize what else is going on. We have a Supreme Court race going on. We have 3 spots on the high court that we're going to pick. I would give you $30,000 tonight if any of you could name all 6 of the candidates running, and I know that's a safe bet because you don't. And the reason why you don't, it's a very complicated thing, and it's down on the ballot, and nobody pays attention to it at all. But here's what happens. Here's what will happen in the Supreme Court race. The women candidates, and there are a bunch, okay, will get an automatic 7% of the vote because they wear a dress. For no other reason, just because they're female. Underscoring that the electorate doesn't know anything about them, so they go, oh my God, how am I going to vote for you? Well, I sort of like women. Yeah, that's cool, I'll vote for her. There's another part of it. In addition to gender, it's their names. If you got a good Irish Catholic name, your chances of getting on the Supreme Court are really, really good, which is why there are on the court right now, out of 7 justices, 2 named Kelly, and they're both women. Now, they are probably judicially qualified, but I would throw myself at the mercy of the court that people didn't vote for them because they thought they were good jurists. They voted for them because they're a woman and their name was Kelly. Kavanaugh is another popular name. There's a Kavanaugh on the court. There's a Kelly running for the court now. And so it becomes the name game. We're electing judges that will decide all of our legal decisions based on, we don't know who they are, by their names, and whether they have an Irish Catholic and what gender they are. Isn't that a sad commentary? It really is. It underscores where we are from an intellectual standpoint of the electorate dealing with these issues. All right, so in the presidential race, this thing is very close. You're going to ask me who's going to win? I ain't got the slightest idea. I can tell you this. Ignore the national polls. The national polls that do the whole country, they're irrelevant. They don't mean anything. What you got to look at is you got to look at the individual swing states, the battleground states, which are now maybe 12, 11, depending on who you talk to. You got to look at the polling data in those states. And in those states, Mr. Romney has a handful, Mr. Obama has a handful, and then there's a group in the middle, maybe 5 or 6, that are up for grabs. Those 6 states will determine the outcome of this election. The rest of it is preordained. And one of those states, unfortunately, is Ohio. Ugh. Gives me pause, all right? Because we know people in Ohio are just weird, all right? That's why they're in Ohio and not in Michigan. But it will come down to those handful of states. I think this is going to be very close. I think we're up late on election night again. I hope we have no hanging chads in Florida. That could be a problem, but it's going to be a very, very close contest, very close contest. All right, I want to talk briefly about our governor, whom was identified here by my good friend as Mr. Snyder, who is a very unorthodox governor. I started covering the legislature and governors in 1942, a long time ago, all right, in 1969. 1969. You guys, many of you weren't even a glimmer in your daddy's eye in 1969. My first governor was Bill Milliken. Second governor was Jim Blanchard. Then there was the big guy, what was his name? John Engler, yeah. Then there was Jennifer Granholm, and now this governor. He is so different from these others, because these others were all career politicians, and good ones. They were good people to cover. Mr. Snyder, as you recall, ran as a non-career politician, which is why he got elected. We don't like career politicians. And so he came along and said, even though I'm from Ann Arbor, vote for me, okay? I'm a business guy. I know how to turn states around, all right? So he runs as a non-career politician, but he acted in many respects just like a career politician, because he ran his campaign in what we call in the business the bubble. The bubble is the thing that they put over candidates so that guys like me can't get at them. Because guys like me like to ask tough questions about the candidates. What do they stand for? What are they going to do if they get elected? Mr. Mitt Romney has the same bubble problem that Mr. Snyder had vis-a-vis the press corps. They got Mitt Romney in the bubble. If you talk to the guys and ladies on the bus trying to cover him, they're just frustrated out of their minds. They can't ask him a question. How can I do my job as a journalist if I can't talk to these guys? So Mr. Snyder puts the bubble over his head. He doesn't tell us what he's going to do, and here's part of the reason why he didn't. When he got elected, one of the first things he did was to raise the pension tax on senior citizens. And his advisor said, Governor, you can't do this. One, it's a tax increase, and two, it's on senior citizens who vote in large numbers. Now, if he had disclosed that during the campaign, do y'all suppose that would have cost him some votes? If he said, if you elect me, I'm going to put a pension tax on seniors, yeah, it would have cost him a ton of votes, which is why he didn't tell us, which is why reporters were frustrated, because we needed to know that. If he had also told us that he was going to take $1 billion out of the school aid fund and use that money for business tax relief with no guarantee that it would raise any jobs, that also would have cost him some votes. So rather than explain to us what he was going to do, we elected him and then we found out. It's sort of elect me and I will tell you what I will do. Mr. Romney has the same problem. The press corps is still waiting for an explanation as to how he's going to fund a $5 trillion tax cut. His running mate, Paul Ryan, was asked the other night, how are you going to do it? He said, I could explain it to you, but, quote, I don't have the time to do the arithmetic. I don't know about you, but that sounded to me like a dodge, like he didn't want to answer the question. And so it comes down to, are you going to trust these guys, elect them and find out what they're going to do, or are you going to try to find out what they're going to do before you elect them? You all have to decide that. You all have to decide that. And that's where the role of the media comes in. I am a surrogate for you. I'm a stand-in for you. I'm there to cover the Capitol, to ask those tough accountability questions of the politicians, to then give the information to you. One of the most common criticisms I get, Skubick, why are you always telling us what to think? Wrong. I'm trying to get you to think. There's a huge difference. I want you to engage what the good Lord gave you between your ears, that gray matter, to think about this stuff. And then my job is to give you the information so you can make a judgment one way or the other. My biggest fear of Governor Snyder, since he ran the campaign in the bubble, I'm thinking, wow, if he stays in that bubble for 4 years, I'm in trouble. Because I'm never going to be able to talk to the guy. I'll never be able to ask him a question. Guess what? Hasn't been a problem. Refreshingly so. He gets it. He understands. He's been accessible. When he goes out and does an event, we do a scrum afterward. I can ask him questions. He's been kind enough to give me both his email address and his personal cell number. He and I have actually had lunch together 3 times alone, although I did take a food taster. Oh, come on, guys. But he gets it. We've talked about the relationship between media and governors, and he understands that I have a role to play. And in fact, to be really honest with you, we are using one another. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's using me, I'm using him. And as long as I can get some information and he can get his message out, which is why he's using me and the rest of the media, that's how the process works. So he's been refreshingly different than the other governors because he's sort of apolitical. One of his favorite lines is this is not about R's and D's. It's not about Republicans and Democrats. Everybody else in my town, that's what it's all about. It's all about R's and D's. It's all about playing politics. This governor, not so much, and he proved it. He absolutely proved it right out of the chute. He's delivering his first State of the State message after he was elected. But before he spoke, 2 days prior to that, the House Democrats had their news conference in which they laid out their whole agenda for the new year. And House Democrats said, we want to build the bridge between Detroit and Windsor. That was their top priority. 2 days later, the new Republican governor shows up to give his speech. He's not a very good public speaker. I was anchoring the broadcast trying to keep myself awake until he gets to the point where he says, I endorse the bridge to Canada. And the House Democrats get up en masse. They are screaming. They are hollering. They are applauding. It is unbelievable because a Republican governor had endorsed their top priority. Now, if you looked over on the other side of the House chambers where all the Republicans were sitting on their hands, collectively they are going, read my lips, okay? They're going, oh my God, this is a Republican governor. He just endorsed a Democratic proposal. What the hell is wrong with him? Vintage Rick Snyder. Vintage Rick Snyder. It's not about R's and D's. He wants to build a bridge. He thinks it's the right thing to do. By God, he went to the legislature and said, help me build the bridge. Now, the Republicans didn't help him at all. In fact, they didn't give him any votes. Their governor, top priority, couldn't get any Republican votes because they didn't want to. Well, there may have been mitigating circumstances. Matty Maroon had contributed $750,000 to members of the House and Senate. Now, I'm not suggesting that he bought any votes, but I'm thinking it. He spread around a lot of money, and he bottled it up. Insight to Governor Snyder. For every defeat of Plan A that he has a Plan B. And his Plan B was to ignore the legislature, since they stiffed him. He was going to stiff the legislature, and he went to Canada on his own, and they worked out a deal to build the bridge without one legislative vote. And he's going to build the bridge. Now, in that agreement, Canada is going to pay for the whole thing. There was also a clause in the agreement that the Red Wings would get 2 future draft choices from the Montreal Canadiens. This guy's a good negotiator. He gets it, okay? So here's my point. He couldn't get what he wanted, but he was driven to build the bridge, so he went around the legislature. He's going to build the bridge. Now, Proposal 6 that we talked about earlier says, if the people vote for Proposal 6, they supposedly will have veto power over the governor's bridge. Nah, 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 all right? To which Governor Snyder says, doesn't matter. I got to deal with the Canadians. I will build the bridge regardless of the vote of the people. Now, this will end up in the courts for a long time, but this is Governor Snyder to a T. He is driven. When he knows he's right, he's going to do it. So he's an interesting dude. He's accessible. The comments that he gets from people is, not everybody likes what I'm doing, but at least I'm doing something. And he's on to something because he is not critical of anyone. Every governor that I've covered has been an optimist. I've come to the conclusion that to be the governor of a state, you have to, by definition, be an optimist to get you through the rough times when things are really going badly. So that optimism is there, but he's off the charts. His favorite phrase is relentless positive action. Ugh, if I hear that one more, I'm going to barf. But that's Rick Snyder. I can't get him, and believe me, I have tried, to say something controversial about other politicians. He simply will not go there. And a perfect example is this race for president. Every Republican worth his or her salt in this state right now is beating up on President Obama every chance they get. I defy you to find Mr. Snyder saying anything bad about Mr. Obama. He hasn't, and he won't. As far as he will go, he will say Washington is broken and it needs to be fixed. Well, Washington is so general, that could be anybody. It's certainly not just the president. And so why is he being that way? First of all, it's in his nature. He's not going to be critical, but he's also smart. He knows he needs the president to build the bridge. He needs federal money to do it. So why should he be taking on the president and putting that at risk? That's why he's not. He also needs the president's help to institute some health care reform in Michigan, which he's having trouble doing in the Republican legislature. He needs the president for that, and who knows what else. And so here you have a governor who should be leading the charge against the president and simply refuses to do it, which makes him very unpolitical. And it drives conservative Republicans nuts because he is. But let me tell you, he's onto something. The general public likes this. The general public is fed up with negative personal attacks, not only during election years, but even in off years. Everywhere I go, people say, Skubick, how come these guys and ladies in Lansing are not cooperating more? How come they're not doing bipartisan stuff for the people? And here's why they aren't. Our politics has now become a game of number one priority, getting re-elected. That's the most important thing. Second, less important thing, doing the public's will. It should be the other way around. In fact, Governor Milliken, whom I spoke to earlier, who, by the way, just turned 90, and he's doing very well, his thing was, Skubick, if we do good public policy, if we do what the people need to have done, the politics will take care of itself because people will reelect people that are willing to work together. The problem in our politics today is that compromise has become a four-letter word. Somehow or other, getting together in a room with differing points of view and trying to work something out and giving a little to get a little has become a nasty word. There are fringes, the Tea Party people, many of them are against compromise. In fact, if you compromise, you're not worth your salt. Well, I hate to argue with you, but the democracy is based on compromise. That's what it is. Nobody ever gets everything they want in life. You try to work stuff out. In the healthcare debate in Washington, and I have to be careful here because I don't cover it, but what I read, and I believe everything I read in the newspaper, silly me, all right? But the president had moderate Republicans in the Congress who were willing to vote for his healthcare program, except they didn't. And you know why they didn't? Because when it came time to vote, those people were called into the Republican caucus and they were told in no uncertain terms, you're not voting for this. They said, we like it. We think it's a good idea. Some of them are, you're not voting for this. How come? Because it'll give the president a win. It'll give the president a win, and we don't want to do that. Was that good public policy? Probably not. Was it good politics? Oh, yeah. It was beautiful politics because the president wanted a bipartisan package, and they denied it to him, not based on the merits of the package, but on the politics of the package. And that's what's wrong with our politics today. Let me share with you what I believe is a good definition of political leadership. Political leadership is doing what you believe to be the right thing to do and not worry about the next election. And we have precious little of that going on in Washington, precious little of that going on in Lansing. And it actually should be what they are all about. Doing your business, not theirs. All right, I'm ready for questions. And the president has asked me to tell you here for the students, the best question tonight, was it $500 or $700? What was the number? I can't remember. It was an obnoxious number. All right, fire away, please. Good, let's go home. Let me give you my best guess. Okay, I will handicap the election. If the election was held 3 weeks ago, Mitt Romney is not your president. Okay? It was just kind of molding up that way. First debate turned that around. It is TC right now, too close to call. My sense is, though, that Obama wins in a squeaker. This is going to be close. It's going to be very close. It will come down to the likability factor. Okay? Which one are we more comfortable with? The problem Mr. Romney has is that he's running on the economy, and he keeps telling us that the economy is lousy, all right? But the president has data, particularly in states where Republican governors are working. This is an irony here. In Michigan, Florida, those economies are coming back. So for the voters that are actually thinking, okay, and just don't vote their gut, they're going to think, you know what? Maybe we're not where we wanted to be, but we're better off than we were 4 years ago because the economy is coming back. And in swing states like Michigan and Ohio, the auto industry, quote, saving package is a dominant theme. And in Ohio and Michigan, I think that carries the day. Mr. Romney has tried to talk his way around that, and he still, in the electorate's mind, hasn't explained. They were very close, Mr. Obama and Mr. Romney, on what they wanted to do. Mr. Romney has done a lousy job of explaining it and is still trying. You know what? Here's what Mr. Romney should have said. You know what? Let's stop bickering about whether this worked, on what the president did. Let's just be thankful that it worked. Turn the page. In fact, Mr. Snyder has told him to do that. Stop worrying about the past and trying to figure out what should or should not have been done. The fact is, GM and Chrysler are still selling cars, and they're doing pretty good. Embrace that. Say it's good. But that's not in Mr. Romney or the Republicans' playbook because it's giving credit to the president. You know what? When a politician from the other side gives credit to the opponent, you know what? That resonates with voters. Thinking people say, wow, that was a statesmanly-like thing to do. But in politics today, we don't do that. So it's close. I give it to Mr. Obama, but things can happen between now and the week from Tuesday, and I have no idea what it's going to be. That could change the dynamics altogether. But here tonight, I think he wins in a squeaker. Yes, yes, sir, please.
Yes. My name is Mayom. You know, I'm Sudanese, you know. I'm Southern Sudanese, you know. I've been here for this country for 9 years.
Okay, have you voted?
Yeah, I do. I became citizen, you know, 2007.
Great.
I voted 2008, you know, in 2010, and I will vote this year. So my question is, I need to know, you know, about the, you know, the politics here in Michigan. So who will control, you know, the next chamber? Republican will still control it or no?
Good question.
Also, I'm tired of, you know, what are you talking about, the Tea Party people?
Sure.
You can
Sure.
you tell?
Based on what we know right now on the polling data, it looks like the House Democrats are not going to take back control of the House from the Republicans. I think they will pick up some seats. They need to get to 10. If they were to get to 10 seats, they could take control. That's a very, very high bar to reach. They've got some competitive districts, but not, I don't think, enough to get there. There is one seat that they're probably going to pick up. Does anybody know about the Roy Schmidt controversy on this side of the state? Has that been in the papers over here? Do any of my students know about this? I know the people that see, she doesn't want to do eye contact with me. She's like, do any of the students know what the Roy Schmidt thing is? Help me out here. Do you know what it is? Do you? No? Do you? Wow. Where the hell you guys been? Does anybody read the newspaper anymore? Don't. Okay. Where do you get your news from? Do you follow the news?
I don't.
You don't. The only reason you are here tonight is that somebody told you to be here, right?
Correct.
Exactly. Exactly. And thank God you have a prof that understands this, okay? And I'm not going to sign your paper to prove that you were here. Blech. All right? Yes, over here, please, sir. Yeah. Oh, I thought you had one. Oh, I'm sorry. You were just pondering my abuse of this young lady. Fire, yeah, sure. It's a free country. Go for it.
I think, Dr. Ender, in your introduction, mentioned that you see greed as our primary enemy or obstacle.
I do.
And I think you have proven tonight here in this room what I would say is our biggest obstacle, maybe our enemy, and that is, wrote it down here.
Ignorance.
Apathy and his cousin ignorance.
No, I like ignorance better. I like ignorance because apathy is just a little too easy.
I've got them paired together. I think they come as a package.
Yeah. Why is that dangerous?
If we're uninformed, well, you just went through the whole thing with the
Exactly.
the 6 items on the.
Exactly. How, and this, you know what? Here's the other part of, thank you for the comment. Here's the other part of it. When you don't do your homework, you allow the politicians and the consultants to basically control you. The most effective commercial that is on the TV right now, having to do with the ballot proposals, is the one with the husband and wife sitting at the table. And she's looking over the, you've seen this, she's looking over the ballot proposal. She said to her husband, honey, we don't want to put this junk in the Constitution. Let's just vote no on everything. And he, being the dutiful husband, says, yep, that sounds good. Let's do it. Why is that an effective ad? Because it takes you off the hook. Whew, that was easy. All I have to do is vote no on everything. I don't have to read them. I don't have to figure out what do they stand for. I just vote no. Wow. Awful. Wrong. That's not the way it is. That is ignorance. That is apathy. It's it's one sandwich away from stupidity. Of course they work.
So that a yes vote opposes the issue sometimes.
Sure, and why do you suppose they do that? Because we're not smart enough to figure it out on our own. And that wonderful moment where you all said Proposal 6 was just a perfect example. You didn't know that because you've been studying the issue. It was based solely on the TV commercials, which is why they do them. Because they know you're lazy, and they know you'll get sucked in. And if you feel comfortable about that, great. But that's not the way it's supposed to be. Okay, and I know I'm sounding like a nasty parent, okay, but I feel strongly and passionate about this. The democracy, guys, will not work unless you get off your asses and get in the game. Okay? It's as simple as that. But we're not passionate enough to do it. We're just kind of let the world go by, okay? Now, it doesn't take that much effort. It really doesn't. I don't recommend that you watch TV news, all right, because TV news doesn't really do a decent job. But there are sources out there, especially on the internet, political.com, the Huffington Post. I would even go to the candidate websites and read what they are. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can't just be going through this thing lackadaisical and say, well, I guess I'll vote or maybe I won't. Now, on the Roy Schmidt thing, who does know the Roy Schmidt story, okay? You all know Mr. Schmidt, state representative, got together with the Republican Speaker of the Michigan House. Just before the filing deadline for these guys to run for office, Mr. Schmidt, who was a Democrat, decided he wanted to switch parties and become a Republican. So he got together with the Speaker, and they said, well, that sounds like a good idea, but they didn't stop there. There's nothing wrong about changing political parties. But here's what they did do. On the last day for filing for office, in a very sneaky and backhanded way, Mr. Schmidt decides to change parties and file as a Republican so that the Democrats who thought he was running for the Democratic seat, didn't have time to field a candidate for that seat. So it would enhance his chances of getting elected as a Republican because he basically would have no competition. It was a brilliant idea. From a political standpoint, it was just gangbusters. The only problem was it was sort of screwed up. Because here's what they did. In addition to him switching parties, they went to somebody else, a friend of the family, and got that person who didn't give a hoot about politics, okay, to run as the Republican, or as a Democrat. So now not only is he running as a Republican, but now he's got a phony candidate running against him, so now for sure he's going to win. The only problem is we all found out about it. And it stunk, okay, especially on this side of the state. It's kind of stinky. And they admitted that they made a mistake. But now there's a grand jury investigating this to see if they did make a mistake legally, okay? And my guess is, I don't cover this over here, but my guess is that Mr. Schmidt might be in some trouble, and somebody else might get elected. And here's the object lesson, which helps me to underscore another point. As I said before, politics is all about winning. And that's the only reason these two guys did this. They wanted to hang on to the seat. They didn't want to do what was best for the voters. You know, if he had switched parties and run, he probably would have been reelected. They didn't have to do all of this tomfoolery stuff in order to make sure that he would. But they were so myopic, they were so focused on winning that they did stuff that they shouldn't have done. And we'll see what happens. I would be surprised if he gets reelected. So that's the Schmidt story. Now we have time for a couple more. Yes, please. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had a question on Proposal 3.
Anybody ever say you look like Carville? Yeah, all the time. Okay. You're not from the South, are you, man?
No,
okay,
no,
I digress. I'm sorry. It just dawned on me, all right? Okay.
Much wealthier.
You, however, don't look like his wife, okay? Yes, and that's a compliment. Yes, please.
Proposal 3, the wind energy, or alternative energy.
Yes.
I'm hearing snippets about it's not as simple. Or there has to be 25% energy alternative by 2025, but
Correct.
then and if it doesn't meet that, then they can put in biomass plants. Have you heard about this?
That one I've not heard, but let me just walk you through it, okay? Remember, I'm not trying to tell you how to vote. Let me just give you the pros and cons, all right? People ask, why do we have to have a constitutional amendment to do this? Why don't they just do this in the legislature? Well, if you talk to the environmentalists and the Greens, they would tell you this story. This is their story. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. This is what they're saying. We wanted to go to the legislature. We wanted to change the renewable energy contract, which is 10% by the year 2015, and bump it up another number, but we couldn't get the votes because DTE Energy and Consumers Power have a hammerlock on the politicians. So we couldn't get it through the legislature. So we had no other alternative but to go to the ballot. So they collected the signatures. It is now on the ballot. The argument against it is it will write state energy policy into the Constitution, and the only way to change that then would be with another statewide vote on another constitutional amendment. So the opponents are saying it takes away all the flexibility of the legislature. That's why we hired a legislature, to make these decisions, to periodically look at what it is, and maybe in 3 years we could hit 25 by 25, but we don't know. All right, so that's the argument against it. And the Greens say, look, 17 other states are doing this. They're just rolling along singing a song. It's helping to save the environment. It's helping us to get away from coal and natural gas. And yes, it might be a little more expensive, but it's not going to be the thousands of dollars that the other side is saying. In fact, they say it's 50 cents a month. And I'm perplexed as to who is right. I suspect they're both lying, but I don't know. But those are the pros and cons. So it depends on how it's going to probably come down to as to whether you're comfortable of writing something into the Constitution. That will be the knock against 5 of the 6 ballot proposals that we're locking it in the Constitution and lose that flexibility. Does that help out or not? You can revise it. Right, and the proponents say that the legislature will have some wiggle room on helping to implement this law, but the other side is not willing to do that. Check that website that I gave you, and there's more analysis of that. Good question. Yes, sir, please.
the Grand Rapids Press, for example, has laid off so many reporters and is now basically seems to be functioning on these stringer reporters, uploading things to MLive without really going through an editor, and then they only get copy edited if they're printed in the press. I mean, it just seems like I've gotten to the point where I don't even know if I trust newspaper journalism anymore, and I'm wondering if you could comment on that.
Oh, yeah, we could do a 3-hour seminar on it. I'll try to reduce it down, okay? I meant what I said in the quote that Mr. President wrote to you. In journalism, we have lost our way. We are now a means towards an end, and the end is simply make more money. When I started out in the business, the objective was to be that surrogate for you and to do good journalism and to provide information. Now it's almost an afterthought, all right? So yes, there is a diminution of newspapers. The newspaper of the future is mlive.com, where I blog daily. I get paid by the hit, go home and hit it, all right? I don't get paid by the hit.
Have you seen a loss of accuracy on MLive?
Sure, absolutely. At MLive, they're hiring some additional editors. When I started with them in February, my stuff was basically going from my fingers to the internet. And I was uncomfortable with that because I'm not perfect. You may find that hard to believe, all right? But I make mistakes, and I would catch them after the fact. You need an extra pair of eyes. So they are trying to beef that up so that 2 or 3 sets of eyes will see my stuff before it gets on there. But the newspapers are caught up in this phenomenon that we documented here with the young people who are no longer reading the papers. They don't go there. And so when all of us who have grown up with newspapers, and I still love my morning paper as I get up, when we're dead, newspapers won't be around. I give them another Detroit News and Free Press, maybe 10 or 15 years. And then they're gone. And everything will be on the internet. And here is the scary thing. You got me started. Here's the scary thing about the internet. There's a lot of bad crap getting on the internet that nobody's editing, that nobody's passing off. And basically, anybody who wants to write can write. And we are stupid enough to believe that just because we're reading it, it must be true. Let me give you one personal example. During the last presidential election cycle, the one before this one, actually the one that we had all those Republicans running, John McCain and Rudy Giuliani and all those guys, okay? And a guy named Ron Paul was running for president. The Republican Party had all of those candidates for a cattle call up in Mackinac Island at the Grand Hotel, where I interviewed all of them. And I did Ron Paul on if you've been to the Grand Hotel, on the front steps on the red carpeting, where they bring up the people in the carriages with the horses, and the horses drop off the people and then drop other stuff. You know where that is? Okay, well, I did Ron Paul there. I did a 20-minute interview with him, and I've got to tell you, this guy was engaging. He really was. He's quite intelligent. He's got a different, unusual take on stuff, and I thought he did a great job. I finished the interview for my folks at Channel 2 in Detroit. We went inside the dining room of the Grand Hotel where Ron Paul was going to speak at noon. All around the room, Ron Paul signs, everywhere you could say. So I quietly said to my producer, I said, look, I need some shots in here, but I don't want any Ron Paul crap. Okay, fine. We do the story, I get done on the island, I go back home, I open up my email, and it is overflowing with the most vitriolic stuff I've ever seen in my life. It scared me. Turns out, unbeknownst to Ma, that when I said I don't want any Ron Paul crap, there was some whippersnapper with a VHS tape recorder behind me who recorded that. They put it on a thing called, is it YouTube or YTube? Yeah, they put it on YouTube. But they also put something else before they showed the video. I think it was something like this. Skubick censors Paul. Skubick censors Paul. Roll the tape. I don't want any Ron Paul crap. 80,000 hits the first week. And none of them were complimentary. None of them. Why? 2 things. One, nobody bothered to call me to get my side of the story. Isn't that an amazing thing? I just explained to you what my thinking was. If I wanted to censor Ron Paul, I would never have interviewed the schmuck. Okay? I would have ignored him. But I interviewed him. I did a story on Channel 2. I did my duty as a journalist. I covered all sides of the story, but nobody called to get my side of the story. That's one thing. Secondly, these 80,000 people didn't want to be confused with the facts because their mind was made up. Let's put that in the context of where we were at that time, and even this last time with Ron Paul. The context of the Ron Paul people was simply this. The mainstream media doesn't like this guy. They don't want to give him exposure. And there was Skubick on camera saying, I don't want any Ron Paul crap, case closed. Not even close. Not even close. But they didn't want to find out what happened because it fit into their mindset. And that's what's happening to our journalism and our consumerism of journalism today. We are going to media sources that reinforce our personal beliefs. If you're a consummate conservative Republican, you're watching Hannity and you're watching O'Reilly, and at home you're going, God, these guys are great. They think just like me. And ain't life grand? And if you're a liberal Democrat, you're watching Rachel, and you're going, God, she's smart because I think exactly the same way. We are going to places to reinforce our beliefs. Wrong. What we should be doing is opening our minds to all points of view. You watch Rachel, you watch Hannity, you listen to Rush, you listen to another liberal, okay, so that you can get a variety of opinions and then engage your thinking processes and see who's got the right idea. The R's don't have all the solutions. The D's don't have all the solutions. Maybe it's somewhere in between, but we'll never find out unless we expose ourselves to other points of view. That is also dangerous on top of the stupidity and ignorance and apathy. That's another one that's going to kill us because we're checking out. We don't want to find out what the other person is thinking. Very dangerous. So where are we headed? I think we're headed in the crapper, all right, as far as newspapers are concerned. And it scares me to say that because the beautiful thing about newspapers is you can actually sit there and read it. And if you don't understand something, you can go back and look at it again on television. Trust me, I know this. Television, it is fleeting. It is there and it's gone. I get people that come up all the time and say, Skubick, I saw you on TV last night. I said, thank you, I appreciate that very much. What was my story about? Pause. Politics. Well, that's a start. But what was the story about? What was I talking about? Geez, I don't know. I rest my case. That's what television news is. It is very just, it's here and it's gone. Now, they'll remember whether my hair was straight or what kind of tie I had on, okay? That's what they'll comment on. Didn't like your tie, sorry. Don't like you not thinking what I was doing. All right, we're even. So we got a major problem to do. And what has happened is that because we are now all about just making money in journalism, we have basically said we can get by with the stringers that don't cover the stuff. We can get by with just, getting by. And that's not doing our due diligence on our side. And then you can't get the information you need that's reliable. So I agree with you. You should be suspect of the stuff you're reading anymore. But you also should tell the people that you have that concern. Drop them a note. That's the only way it'll change. We got time for one more? Yes, actually, no, we can do two. Go ahead, ma'am, please. About greed, I did.
Do you think, like, if we are able to stop it, how do you think we would be able to stop that kind of an obstacle?
Great question. Let's just explain briefly how we got here. You all remember, and maybe you read about, the financial meltdown on Wall Street during the last presidential election. That had nothing to do with the economy going south. That had to do with people on Wall Street who were making a boatload of money and wanted to make more money, right? All those contracts on houses that they knew these people could not afford, they wrote because they made money on them. They didn't care the consequences. They didn't know that they might tear our entire economy down. So it is about greed. So the elixir for that, what is that? Please don't take this the wrong way. But I believe that we stop the greed thing by getting back to one of the basics of our country, which I do believe we are our brothers and sisters' keepers. It's not just about us. It's not just about making as much money as you can possibly do and then you're successful. Because I believe that if you are successful, you have an obligation to some who are not. And if you impose that kind of thinking, then it's not all about getting as much money as you can get. It's about sharing. This sounds like redistribution, doesn't it? And, the president's taking a hit for redistributing the wealth in America. Well, I got to tell you, ever since they invented the income tax, We've been redistributing the wealth. This is not a new concept unique to this president, all right? So we have to have sort of an attitude adjustment. Is it all about just making money, or is it all about getting a good job, making money, and then taking care of some who can't and helping them so that they can rise up as well? And I think as a country, we've sort of lost that. And I think that's at the genesis of the greed that we're seeing in our country today. Question here from this young lady, please. Thank you. Good question, by the way. I appreciate that. It was an intelligent question.
I'm a Yenis, and
What's your major?
health.
Health.
I don't know yet.
Okay, how you feeling?
I'm okay.
Okay, good, good.
For the points of view that you were mentioning, I try to have both points of view.
Thank
always.
you.
I try to have emails from both parties and things like that, even though I'm more of one.
Sure, there's
I
nothing
try to
wrong with
do
that.
both.
Great.
But doing that, I see that I think most media is pro-Democrat, pro-Obama, in my point of view. Like, they kind of force you to want to vote for them.
Beautiful.
Do you think?
Oh, we have another teaching moment right in front of us. Shall we all take a deep breath? All right. So you think the news media is biased? You're not alone. Raise your hand if you think the media is biased. Get them up. Absolutely. Everywhere I go. Kiwanis clubs, whatever. Everybody thinks the media is biased. Work with me. Just for a half a second, open up your mind. Put your prejudice aside for just a moment against reporters. Let me just walk you through this. If indeed you were right, and the news media, and now look at, are there people practicing my business that are biased? Clearly. But the vast majority are not. And here's why. I've been doing this for 42 years. If I was a biased liberal Democrat or a biased conservative Republican, what would happen when I would show up at the state capitol? One group or the other would stiff me. They wouldn't talk to me. I couldn't get both sides of the story, and I'd be out of work. Because my bosses would say, Skubick, how come all these stories just come back with quotes from Democrats? Don't you talk to Republicans? Well, they think I'm biased and they won't talk to me. I'm out selling pencils. So I could not have survived if indeed I was what you believe, biased. Based on what you heard here today, what do you think I am? Go ahead. Yeah. A Democrat. Absolutely. You know what? I got 20 other people that also think I'm a Republican. Okay? And that's based on just what I've done here today, right? Because you didn't know me from Adam. Be honest. Tim, who you went? Why am I going to this silly-ass thing? All right? Okay? But here's the point. That was based on your perception of what I said here today. Let me show you what happens in reality. And thank you for your honesty. I appreciate it. By the way, I'm not. I'm an independent. I vote R's and D's. When we do our TV show, let me take the governor that I referred to, John Engler, from years ago. John Engler was a lightning rod. Either you loved this guy or you hated his guts. There was no middle ground, right? Remember? Okay? We have John Engler on the show, and I ask him my series of snotty questions that I ask everybody. After the show, the people that are pro-John Engler come up to me, and here's what they say. Skubick, why were you so disrespectful to the governor of the state of Michigan, asking him those questions? How dare you do that? Then there would be another group that wasn't fond of John Engler. And they would come up to me and they would say, Skubick, why'd you let him off the hook? Huh? How come you didn't ask him those tough questions that you asked Milliken and Blanchard? The exact same show. Seen through what? Your personal selective perception. So when we're talking about bias in the media, I'm looking at it. Because it's you, not me. You buying that or not? Of course not. Why would you buy it? Because it's too logical, but it happens to be the truth. The vast majority of people practicing my trade have no desire to bias and slant their reporting. It is contrary to what I believe in. It is my passion, and I wouldn't do it because it would be wrong. When that red light comes on, my personal beliefs go up on the shelf, and that's where they stay. And I'll ask tough questions of a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, a mugwump, whatever, as a stand-in for you. Do you feel my belief of that? Doesn't move you at all, does it? Not even a yeah, a little bit, yeah. But that's fine. We've had a good exchange. You're wrong. I'm right. All right? We got time for one more. But I appreciate the question because I get it everywhere. And it hurts me that it's out there. Yes, ma'am, please.
I have a lot of friends that are, I have one that's a liberal Democrat, and then I have one that's really Republican. And
okay.
they're kind of both shoving down my throat about the new student loans. And as a college student, that is important to me.
Absolutely.
So I was wondering if you could kind of let me know. I mean, I've read stuff on both of them, but I don't really see a difference.
Great. Okay. Are there other questions over here that we can handle? I'm being facetious. This has come up in the debates between the two candidates, right? You've heard from your liberal, right? Okay. Mr. Obama wanted to extend the Pell Grants. I believe Mr. Romney wanted to cut back on them as part of their budget cuts. That might be something, but you got to do more research on this, okay? But what I love about your question, and this is the essence here, guys, is find an issue that impacts your life, okay, to underscore the fact why you need to be involved. You're very intelligent because these guys, depending on who's elected, could affect whether you finish your college career or not. This is not just a walk through the park, guys. We're electing a president who will establish policies that will affect you all. And whether you believe it or not, you're silly if you don't. And you're silly if you don't find out who has the best policy and then vote for that person. That's what I'm trying to say here tonight. So thank you for the question. Listen to both your sides. Who's convincing you the most? Who's the most passionate? That's a stretch. And the other person? And if we had senior citizens sitting in this audience tonight, they would also be saying, am I going to get my Social Security through a voucher system or not? So see, we have a generational thing going on here. You're concerned about college. Seniors are worried about their Social Security and Medicare. So everybody's got a stake in this election. It's a beautiful question. We all have a stake in this thing, which is why I want you to do your homework. All right, look, I promised you the ball game. They're throwing out the first pitch even as we speak, and my anxiety level is just going because, remember, I wanted to be a sports writer, all right? So let me just do two quick things. First of all, let me thank you for showing up. I know some of you were here under duress, all right? I understand, okay, but I do appreciate you showing up. Secondly, shameless self-promotion. I blog daily at mlive.com, and I'm not kidding. Okay, I'm putting stuff on there so you can go, and there's other writers on there that are good, okay, that get it, okay, despite the lack of editors. mlive.com. Look for my mugshot, read my stuff. But here's the important one. I want 1/2 hour a week. That's all I want from you at WKAR.org. Our show is called Off the Record. For those of you that are not politically involved, if you give me a 1/2 hour a week, 1/2 hour a week on your time, on your computer, watch. I will do my darndest to give you the information that I gather at the Capitol the best way I can in an unbiased way and give it to you so you can decide what kind of government we've got. It's one vehicle you can use to go to find out what's going on, and I hope that you will. So that the next time we meet, and I ask you who the Tigers' #1 pitcher is, you'll know Verlander, but you'll also know that Ruth Johnson is Secretary of State. God love you all. Thank you. Appreciate it. Mr. President, thank you, sir.